Yeah, I've listed. I think my support is I think five. My five. I did it for every group because you never know what you're going to
Hmm.
technically get in any given game. When you especially when you get like parties of like two, two sets of two, and you're the solo or it's a group of four. Um, but so I have everything. My off lane is definitely the role I like the least. I just don't think I'm
Hmm.
effective in the off lane. Um, but I find myself midding relatively often when it comes to like just people. Two people pick off lane, two people pick safe lane, and then I end up just having to go mid. So I've got a couple there. Um, but yeah, it's like I want to have like a fighting hero, a split pushing hero, that sort of thing. Just try to
Okay.
keep my mindset on like, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to deny this tower. I ended up doing
Hmm.
it because I figured, it's the most important tower on the map. Arguably, mid is equally important, but I was like, I'd rather deny the gold at this point. It's so low. Like one push is going to kill it.
Well, to be honest, I think this tower. Yeah, you did the right call. Denying that was 100% right call. Like, I don't think it's important anymore. Like, it's minute 14 now, right? I mean, it is something. It is definitely something, right? If you lose tower, then you kind of lose control over here and over here, right?
Yeah.
So here's and I also saw that was it here. You pay attention to the middle. So when Zeus was doing this, you swapped. You were checking the minimap, and then
Hmm.
you actually clicked on him. So you care about the mid tile. So that's good. That's a good habit. Right. So to be honest, what I really would have done is, I think this is where you check him. Like you check it. You check. You click on Zeus. I think you
Yeah,
did it
and I
here.
ping the rune
Yeah.
as well.
Mm.
I always try to check the runes at the even minutes to be like, hey, there's a
Mm.
rune here because people don't tend to look for some reason.
So this is actually a good sign. This like you doing this, I 100% agree. So first off, again, let's be little bit more crazy here, okay? After you were clearing that, you decided to run bottom to the large camp here, right? That was your just autopilot move. You were here, and then you were gonna farm this. You're gonna wait for this, and then you're gonna go for the large camp. This is what you did here, right? But if you see this,
Hmm.
if you see this, just be here. Okay. First
Hmm.
off, we have to click Tenny. We have to see his items and we have to see his levels. He's level 9. You're level 9, right? And
Hmm.
then um, actually, because you don't have a power trace, I'm not sure if you'll survive or not. But here's what I always do: if I see Tiny, first off, I go power trace. We got over it, okay? I go power trace, and I'll leave it to strength. And then I'll also have a raindrop, and I'll also have
Yeah.
a magic stick, because that's
Hmm.
what I just do.
Yeah. Just survive the
Yeah.
burst.
So if you have a magic stick, power trace, and a raindrop, and a veil wristband, and Tiny has the same level as you, he just can't kill you. Just mathematically, it's just impossible. Like I just know things, right? He just can't. I have a raindrop, I have a power trash strength.
Hmm.
We have the same level. He just cannot kill me. This is like doing the math. 1 plus 1 is 2, right? Tiny level 9 plus this, I don't die. So
Sure.
if I'm absolutely certain that I just don't die from Tiny, like I don't have any threats. I don't feel uncomfortable going over here and push this wave with my dog pack, right? I just don't feel uncomfortable. I can do it.
Hmm.
And if I did that, then as I'm pushing this, I'll just clear it so fast with my dog pack and power treads. Then that's where you'd have just click on juice, right? And you see that the wave is pushing. Then that's where you quickly hide over here so the Tiny cannot stun you, and you TP to mid. By doing that, you just farm the wave, and then you also farming here, and also you're protecting this tower because we were looking at you're painting the minimap. Nobody in your team dare to care about the middle tower, right? So you wanted to be here, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it's definitely something that's one of the reasons I decided to actually start picking up anti-mage.
oh,
And it's a constant issue I run into in my bracket is that people are just terrified of pushing. Like
okay.
they're legitimately like the idea of hitting a tower scares the crap out of them.
Hmm.
Um, so like I was telling my team like, hey, you guys are as four, and granted, Drow died again. But like, hey, once this fight's over and I've forced pressure on top and they show up there, hit bottom tower. Like I've
Hmm.
made the space to move there, and then I think bottom tower doesn't die until like 25 minutes into the game here, or some
Hmm.
nonsense. Like nobody ever seems to want to group up and do it because they're just scared. And
Okay.
I mean, obviously, uh, so it's a constant issue and one that I also sort of like right now. I know that they all are bottom, but they have TPs available because no one's forced them to TP out to a different lane. Um, So I think my mindset here was also I was playing a little scared. Like I don't know. I know they're all there,
Hmm.
but who knows where they're going to rotate next because no one's forcing. You know, I'm the safe laner. I want to farm until I get like an item or two, and then start moving around and pushing. Um, but when no one else is creating that space or making that happen, you kind of got to do it yourself, right? Like that's the mindset I'm in at this
Okay.
point. Um, but I know it's probably super normal Dota mantra, right? That it's always you just feel like you're playing 1v9. Um, in some games, I'm not. Some games the coordination's great. People are
Hmm.
talking. I'm playing with someone who's actually really doing well. But this game, the anti-mage loss that I had mentioned, they're both were games where I just like it was me versus basically by myself. The anti-mage game ended up lasting 55 minutes, and most of that was just because I think I ended the game with like 37k net worth, and the next person on my team was like 15, just because nobody was willing to do anything. Um, and that's kind of where my frustration lies at this
Okay.
point. Like I feel like I'm better than most of the people in this game, but I can't. I sometimes I just feel like I'm going, by myself to try to win these games,
Hmm.
and it may not. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's egotistical.
No,
But at the same time,
you're
it's
actually
like,
right
you
because
know,
I think that's your strength as a player. Like when you're farming this, we're looking at your player percent and you check the middle, right? And then you even ping the rune here, and then you talked about how like they're here and it can be 4 versus 4, or they can be outnumbering because this and that. So that's actually a good sign. Like there's a thing like you have the potential uh to judge the pace of the game and come up with the right solution. But thing is, you should be doing that. Um, you can do that, and you should be able to transition your whatever you're doing, whatever you have, to your advantage, right? Like you're
mhm.
capable of doing it. What you just did, you were checking mid, and you knew that it was the right answer. You knew that it was the checking the rune was probably the right thing, and you were paying attention to here, and you were guiding. You just told me you were guiding them, you're telling them to what to do, because you want this bottom tower to be gone. It's all good, but then at the same time, we should be doing the right thing to ourselves here, right?
Absolutely, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
So what I just told you about, like you pushing the lane here, right?
Mhm.
It's a small decision, but again, the only difference that I would have done if I were you, right? And you didn't do it. So to me,
Yeah,
yeah,
and yeah,
yeah,
that's
go ahead.
I totally get it. Like it's yeah, I want to at this point be
Hmm.
pushing the creeps up to the tower to make them respond so that people
Hmm.
bottom have someone TP so they're not playing 4v4 3 3v3 or whatever it is right now.
Hmm.
And and I definitely looking at this right now.
Hmm.
I'm not creating the space that the other team members of my team need to do that. So I
Hmm.
get that. That's true.
I mean, imagine like how the game would have been different if you push this tower. Excuse me, is push this wave. Then your tower is just temporarily alive for the next wave, right? Tiny can push
Mhm.
in, and then you TP to here right away. Like you hide in the tree and TP, and then you also save this tower. And at the same time, you got this much experience, this much gold,
Yep.
and like that's game changing. I'm being honest. That is really game
Mhm.
changing. It doesn't not matter. It does not matter how bad they play. That would be not. That would be. That's not my focus. I don't care about that.
No, of
Yeah,
course
right.
not. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and I totally
So.
agree because at the end of the day, if if
Mm,
I think, and that's why you said if the best ones are the ones where you think if you just played slightly better, you could have won this. And I think that's absolutely the case. This game
mm,
went late, like you said, and it actually hinged on
mm,
one chrono where I got caught on the edge as I
mm.
went to try to kill Zeus, and that was enough to get to end the game. So, I totally think that it was a very close
Yeah.
game by the end of it.
Yeah, well, talking about the game, so okay, first off, forget about the win. Or I know this
Hmm.
is like cliche and hard, but forget about win or lose.
Sure.
It's also something that I'm struggling a lot to myself too because we get obsessed, right? But I forget about winning, and that's where I realize that I just become a better player. I focus on myself, like nothing else matters. It's about me. It's about me making decisions. It's about me enjoying the game. It's about me trying to play to the perfection, right?
Sure,
But
of course.
if we can get to the point, then we really don't care about them. We already
Mhm.
know. So you actually considered it. I'm considering every scenario that can happen to me, and that can happen to my allies, and it is my job to come up with it, whether to make an adjustment or whether to not. And how do you know that? It's all about imagination. Like if we make an adjustment to them, then do we get a better result? Then we should do it. If I don't, if I know that they're completely wrong and I do something else, and that's where we are moving toward to a better win rate, then I would just stick to myself. So again,
Sure.
be crazy, but you can
Yeah.
change the game the way you play, but we cannot affect them. Like no matter how hard we try to convince them
No.
to our microphone, it does not matter. That is
Sure.
why I always tell my student, if you're playing solo ranked, mute all chat. I don't care about my allies. I just communicate with them only by using my real chat, like go
Hmm.
Russia and go back. And I don't even talk to them. I don't. I tried everything. Like I'm a support player, man. I tell you, I'm a position 5 support. So I've
Hmm.
been trying everything. I've been trying to communicate with my microphone a lot. I've been there, but to be the captain, I tried that. It worked, but then at the end of the day, I think it just doesn't work in our solo
Hmm.
rank game. It's just much better to spend that efforts on focusing myself. So
Hmm.
that's 100% the priority. I focus
Sure.
on
Sure.
myself. So that's what I want your mindset to be. I don't care about them. This is like, as
Hmm.
I'm watching this replay, I would be obsessed about how bad I played for not getting this way, for not getting this way, right?
Sure.
So
Sure.
yeah, but I just keep reminding
That totally
myself
makes
that
sense.
yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't happen again, right? So that's all I want to say here. And then
No, and I totally understand it. Yeah.
so let's skip that because we talked about it. And I want to talk about your itemization progress. Echo Saber, boy, it's Knuckles. Okay, so you want to get a Silver Edge. So let me ask you, why Silver Edge? Why do you want the Silver Edge?
So at this point, I mostly wanted the Shadow Blade because Zeus was actually, I think, at this point, he had died like twice or once, and he was. I actually just had killed him right before here, um, and so I was having an issue where I just didn't feel like I could get on top of people.
Hmm.
Like I wanted to be more mobile on the map, and I think the Silver Edge probably was overdoing it. There wasn't really anything. There's no passives
Hmm.
I really want to break, but I think that was autopilot. To be quite honest, it wasn't
Okay.
critical thinking,
Hmm.
which of course is how you lose games. And this was me going, okay, it's this. I need to back up now.
Yeah. So you're right. That's exactly what I was going to tell you. Silver Edge doesn't do anything this game. So there actually are some games that you want to get Silver Edge right away. Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you want to take a guess, like just try to
Oh,
guess.
Phantom Assassin
Okay.
against if they've got a Timber Saw, things like that.
Hmm. Nice. How about Bristleback?
Yeah, of course, because
Okay.
then you don't have to just hit them from the front.
Great. So like those are like the clear examples where we actually can consider getting Silver Edge right away, right? Because
Yeah, of course.
your item engine telling me that you're just rushing Silver Edge right away as your first core item, right? This is like I'm saying I want to get Silver
Yeah,
Edge right away, right? So
yeah. And looking at it in hindsight, I think that the right answer. I mean, the problem is that because they have a void, and I'm worried about the chrono.
hmm,
I was a little concerned about the idea of potentially going second item BKB, but it was definitely in consideration. I think I ended up going third item BKB.
hmm,
Um, but yeah, I think it's definitely a mistake looking back on it. It was autopilot.
hmm.
I was not doing my due diligence and keeping up with
Yeah,
things.
I actually agree complete because I think this is why you're losing the game. For this game, I think this was a game losing mistake. That's I think how bad this is. Your Silver Edge is clearly something, right? It's always better than nothing. But all I'm saying here is like you're we're playing the game. You're not even six slotted yet, right? We don't like
Yeah,
this is
it's
not
just
yeah
it's a slot efficiency issue.
yeah very inefficient. Like with an empty slot and Blitz Knuckles plus 35 attacks, I guess it is something. But um okay, so knowing that Silver Edge was not the item, right? So let's say that we did not get the Blitz Knuckles, but we were staying at Echo Saber plus whatever boots and a Wraith Band. If you can play this game again, what do you think would have been your itemization?
If I wanted to switch it around, I would say probably I mean you made a good case for treads
Hmm.
over phase. I didn't really end up needing movement speed in terms of getting on top of people. Wasn't as big an issue as I thought it might be.
Hmm.
Um, like because Zeus isn't mobile, Rubik isn't mobile. I don't think if he gets a blink, it's really late.
Hmm.
CK is just walking around. Void's only mobility is his Q. Um, so probably treads is the right first item. I still think I'm okay with the Echo Saber,
Hmm.
although if I'm not planning on going into Silver Edge, then it's probably maybe just go Shadow Blade to make myself more mobile with the Gang
Hmm.
Train because we have Pudge, uh, Io's core for some reason in this game because again it's unranked. Um, and so maybe it's better to just go first item Shadow Blade and then focus on then BKB after that.
Okay.
and see where we are at that point in the game.
You know what? Actually, I think it is. I'm not. I don't think it is like hunted like that terrible. Now that I'm just thinking back, like just watching the pace of the game and all, because we know that Zeus is he's gonna die, right? If you ever manage to Shadow Blade and hit him once, bonus damage, and then pounce and Dark Pact, he's dead, right? If he doesn't have like any force step or anything,
He does
yeah,
have a Yules, but
yeah.
that's the
But
only thing
that's
that can
not,
really
yeah,
save him
it's
a
not
little
gonna
bit.
save him, right? So unless he
Yeah,
has some teammates behind him, he's gonna die every time you find him with Shadow Blade. So I think I would say that Super Edge is not like the terrible itemization. I'll take back what I just said. It's not like the end of the world. It can happen. So I guess what I can say here is imagine. Okay, let's go back to Midas. If you got the Midas, I
hmm
100% guarantee you would have the exact same itemization and plus Midas here because we've been
hmm
generating that amount of gold from
yeah,
minute
because
nine
it's
or minute
at
eight.
that point it's been like 15 minutes since I
Yeah.
got it, probably.
So I just want you to be able to just imagine that because if we are fully convinced, it will be in your autopilot, and then you're gonna get Midas. You find yourself getting Midas from the next game. So that's what I'm keep telling you. Midas, Midas, Midas.
Sure.
Yeah. So it will be Midas plus Shadow Blade plus Echo Saber, and by then, for that pace of the game, because we have so much gold from Midas, getting Silver Edge is possible. Why not? Because we get good stats.
Yeah.
We just become stronger, Silver Edge, and we just get more damage, bonus damage. This could be fine. So I'll take back what I said. I think Silver Edge is fine. You can use Shadow Blade really well this game.
hmm
But you're right. I really think BKB is the item because just because there's a tiny, if you see tiny, we just have to get BKB. We have no other choice. Like
Yeah, especially
he,
Tiny Zeus Rubik. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
he deals so much damage. Right? He cannot we cannot survive that. He blinks in, casts his combination, and this is all AOE. Right? It's not single target. It's
hmm
AOE, and we're gonna die. We're gonna die. And every time Tiny jumps in with Blink Dagger, there's a chance that Zeus might just cast ultimate. So plus that damage, and it's crazy, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Slug just dies. Yeah, so
hmm
that is why we talked about having Echo Saber. It's plus 12 strength, level 10 talent, which you got it right, plus 9 strength, that's 21. And then we imagine we have a Portress under plus 10, so that's a lot of HP. And I have seen some slot getting Heaven's Halberd. I have definitely seen some slot getting Heaven's
hmm
Halberd. Uh,
I think my only concern with that, although I think because how much Drow was shut down, my
mm,
thought process, because I saw it on the list of possible like recommended items on the
mm,
standard build that I used, and my only thought process was, given how shut down Drow is, I'm guessing Void's going to be more likely to try to chrono me,
mm,
and obviously you can't use Heaven's Halberd in the chrono, so
mm.
like yeah, that's my only concern.
I think I can be a little crazy here. I really think Heaven's Halberd might work after, of course, Shadow Blade or Silver Edge, whatever you have, because
The
you're right.
evasion.
Yeah, if we use Heaven's Halberd and Void, then he cannot hit anything, right? And then, of course, we can always just appreciate having that, evasion, passive evasion. And if you look at your team, there really isn't no frontliner. Like, we cannot call that him a frontliner. Like, I think he's kind of is, but he's gonna die really fast. He's gonna die also really fast. And only backliner. So I would use my allies here to win the game, right? It is my job. It is up to me whether to manage them as a useful tool or just they're stupid and they're stupid, right? And then I know, but it is my job, right? They're
For sure.
stupid, but it is my job to manage them to become a
Mhm.
useful tool. Uh, Draw Ranger, as long as he's not getting Chronosphered, and as long as she is not getting initiated by Tiny, as long as she's just sitting behind and casting multi shot and just right click, she's doing actually a lot of damage, right? It's gonna create a lot of impact. And knowing that, having said that, it is my job to enable her. Like I don't want to like completely rely on enabling her, but I'm saying that if I am a slug who can actually stand a chance of surviving in the front line by just itemizing differently or by playing differently, it helps my draw ranger. Now we have a frontliner. I'm a
No,
slug. I
yeah,
can frontline, right?
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I guess.
having
Yeah, my only, I guess the only problem with that in this game was definitely that I think the entire team was kind of, and it's just that at this point it's just a morale issue.
mm,
Was the issue of, uh, and I this pledge was on point. He just got that so I could take it, which was nice. It was the she was so angry I mean, like all caps chatting the entire game to the point where I finally muted her.
Okay.
And it was just like this game's at this point where it just there's no kind of redemption, and I
Okay.
just didn't trust the odds that she was going to be able to sort of work with us
Mm,
as a team. Which unfortunately is that's the morale game of Dota, right?
mm,
But yeah, I agree that you're totally right. If this
mm.
had been like a positive player who wanted to do this, and see, this is what I mean. I went to hit the tower, and they all ran away.
So, okay, quick question. Would that have made any difference if you muted all chat from the very beginning? If you muted all
uh,
chat?
No, I don't think. I mean, I would have been like, "What's Stroud doing?" But it definitely, I
Mm,
think you're right. And I did at one point actually do that. I muted everybody,
mm,
not just the enemy, because I mute the enemy automatically. I don't want to hear because I play with a lot of Peruvians.
mm,
Just that's U.S. East, right?
mm,
Um, and so I don't need to hear a lot of ha-has and calling people trash and all that in Spanish. But I do feel bad when I start playing with people,
mm,
and then I'm not because I'm like, what if they're randomly asking me to do something and I'm not being a team player and talking with people? So I know what you mean,
mm,
where it's useful, and I guess maybe the better place to be for me is that once I see like them start saying one or two things that are really negative,
mm.
that's when I should just mute them right away.
Okay. So here's the thing, okay? It's also just coming from experience as well. No matter how strong I am, like mentally, like no matter how strong I am, it affects me. If someone is just showing a slight sign of negativity, like in my team, it affects me.
Hmm.
I don't care. At the point that I got affected, I'm muting. I'm wasting my time by doing this. Click
Sure, that's true.
here, click. I am wasting my time. I am wasting my precious time. Although it could be like 5 seconds, 2 seconds, I am wasting my
Yeah,
time and
yeah,
efforts. I'm losing the track of the game. I don't want that to happen. I'm 100% sure it affects my game. So, and like I said, all I need to communicate when I'm playing solo rank game is I just don't need to chat. I communicate with the chat wheel. Like,
mm-hmm.
Roshan, go back. Let's go. Smoke. That's it. 4 commands.
Sure.
I don't need anything else, even if I'm playing support. So trust me on that. So here's a task that I think I want you to, just like a homework. Just do it. Try doing this. Try doing this every game.
Okay.
Beginning of the game, no income chat. Like just try that. Maybe one game, okay? And then just tell me. I want to know. Just tell me if you feel anything different. But I guarantee it will be so much relaxing. It will be so much
Yeah, I mean,
relaxing.
I
Yeah.
definitely I've done it in the past, and I definitely think that like it is you're just basically at that point you're almost playing with bots of
Well,
varying skill
that's
levels.
actually that's actually my that was my point. You want to treat your allies as if they are bots. They are human bots, and like I said, it is your job to
Mhm.
manage them as a useful tool, or they're stupid and they're stupid, right? And we want to be smart enough to able to know how we can manage them to be a different beast, right? And
Sure.
yeah, it is your job. And then I think it will really benefit you if you do this. No incoming chat.
Okay.
Just do that.
Sure.
I can just feel it because I've been there. I've been in your position. Um, and you mentioned about I don't want to talk about this because it can be a little bit racist. But you mentioned about being like Spanish people, right? The Peruvians. I also get it because I used to play in U.S. East and U.S. West. I used to live in the States. But here's the thing: they are actually very nice people.
Oh
Like,
no, I'm not saying
hmm?
it's an issue. I'm saying that they just happen. I find that there's a lot of all chatting coming out of
Hmm.
them. I mean, my wife is Mexican. Don't it's
Oh,
not
okay.
a race
Hmm.
issue. It's a matter of just I get very tired of hearing because I find that compared to not that it doesn't happen, but
Hmm.
compared to Americans, they just seem to love trash talking.
Hmm.
And it's not like it's just that
Yeah.
they're here to have fun, and part of having fun is telling everybody else their
Yeah,
crap.
you know what? I actually miss playing with them. I actually really miss those people because I really thought at the time I was playing a US server, I really thought they are like really annoying. They're really toxic. But now that I'm playing in Southeast Asia, man, whole it's different world, man. If you never
Hmm.
played in Southeast Asia, you don't know toxicity. You don't know. So this is what I always tell my students. Like I played in Europe, I played in Southeast Asia, I played in US West. The US West, US East, it's where the nicest people live. You guys are, including the Peruvians, including the Mexicans. You guys are the nicest players in the world that I've ever played with.
That is
Yeah,
that I believe it at the same time. It's sad, isn't it?
it's. I mean, it was sad when I was only playing in US West, okay? But now that I've experienced everything else, I really want to go back.
No, I mean
Yeah.
like the fact that that's the highlight of Dota community is
Um,
the
well, I played MOBAs, and to be honest, every MOBA is like that. Every
yeah, of course,
MOBA, yeah. So,
absolutely. Well, that's
yeah,
why
just know that
there's
how
the
happy
throne.
you are. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying. Know that how happy
yeah,
you are. You are in a really good place. I envy you because hey, if you don't do this, you cannot play in South Asia server. You just can't play any game. You just can't. I guarantee you can. We cannot play any game. So that's how different everything is. So
that makes
that's
sense.
just memes, okay? Alright.
Sure,
So
absolutely.
okay, so let's keep watching. You're having fun here, and because you have a catapult, you're gonna get this towel. Yeah,
Yep.
so we were talking about itemization. We have to spend more time on it. So we mentioned about having Halberd, right? That's something.
Hmm.
Yeah, evasion, we can appreciate it, and yeah, we can use it to void, and he cannot kill us. He cannot right click, and we also gain some strength, right? We gain a lot of strength, and let me ask you again, why do we appreciate having the strength specifically?
Obviously
Because
survive the burst.
yeah, the magical damage burst, right? Um, so that was important part of the game. If he's magical, then we go for strength talent. If they don't have any magical, if they have a lot of physical, then why do we even bother getting strength, right?
Hmm.
So all that thing, and even for level 15 talent, right? Even for 15, like it's 20 attack speed is something that Slug wants to get all the time, right? But there are some games that I want to have the lifesteal. Like who knows? Like I may be able to survive by having the
Yeah,
lifesteal or not, right?
yeah. If it's someone
And
you want to like man up and right
yeah,
click on, and you're just in a duel to the death, the life still can win you.
and then like we discussed about this game, like we discussed earlier, we want to be sort of the frontline guy as a Slug this game. Because how like draw ranger can benefit from it, and how actually I
Hmm.
benefit myself, right? If Void cannot kill me with Chronosphere, then he's fucked. Like he Chronospheres me, I don't die because I have enough amount of strength, and maybe I can hit them with lifesteal, and I just pop ultimate to
Hmm.
survive it, and that's where things can get flipped around really fast, right? He cannot
Sure.
kill me, I survive it, and all my teams are alive, right? Because they did not get Chronosphered, and their entire team is gonna get wiped, right? So
Hmm.
that's how I can just visualize things happening. I just become tankier by getting Heaven's Halberd, BKB, Silver Edge, of course, because of the bottom component of Echo Saber, and what else? How do I become tankier? Yeah, Scotty. If you
I
get a
actually,
Scotty,
yeah, the last item I get in the game is Scotty because I was
yeah.
like, I just need the raw stats.
So Scotty can also be an interesting discussion to bring because when you're talking about Scotty, that is the timing where usually Slug wants to get Basher, right? Because Slug, almost every Slug gets an Abyssal Blade eventually, right? So it's like a decision between Basher or Scotty. If we get a Basher, then we are just becoming more offensive, right? We can probably kill something faster. Whereas if we get Scotty, then we just become we become stronger. But I think uh, the main reason would be just become tankier, right? We gain a lot of
No.
stats
Yeah,
and we gain
actually,
more health.
I'm wrong. I think the Scotty was in an AM game. I did go Basher in this game.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about that. Why? So I like I'm just saying we have to talk about whether to get Basher or Scotty. Any thoughts about it?
I think for me it was mostly the my team actually was, and this was again the the chat thing.
Hmm.
I think my Elder Titan begged me
Hmm.
to get the Bastion to Abyssal so that I could one
Hmm.
shot, like I could just jump in and kill Zeus.
Oh
Um,
my
so I
god.
unfortunately listened to my teammate instead of listening to myself.
Yeah, this is why we do this, right? So stupid ideas. Right? No incoming chat, and he cannot do that, right? I'm just kidding.
Mm,
But that's also what I honestly believe in, right? I don't want them to affect my decision. I don't want them. I mean, it's a team game. I get it, but at the same time, yeah, we'll get affected if your teammate is begging you to get some items and he does not have any logic. Like, yeah, kill Zeus, okay, but here's the thing. Um, how do you even kill Zeus? He's a backliner. He's always staying in the way back,
mhm.
and we really think we just I don't know Shadow Blade and Abyssal. Yeah, that happens, but they will do everything. The enemy team will do everything in their power to save Zeus. If we ever
Yeah.
initiate on Zeus, right? It's a risk. It really is a risk. If you're Slug and you're only solo and you're just trying to find a spot to go around them and kill Zeus, it's possible, but it's simply they're just not gonna let it happen. They're gonna be using Force
Mhm.
Staff. They're gonna be using Glimmer Cape, And what if they use Glimmer Cape and then you don't have enough slots to carry DOS? Because it happens a lot to carry players, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's not easy. That's all I'm saying. It's not that easy. So if you really wanted to kill Zeus, the answer is actually not a Basher. The better answer is a Nullifier. If you get a Nullifier, no matter what their allies do, Zeus just can't get away from you. He cannot use Force Staff, right? If you use Nullifier. He cannot use Glimmer Cape. He cannot use Yule Scepter. He cannot use Skull Scepter. The only chance that he survives is if he has BKB by himself and then dispel the Nullifier. So, do you see how that is something
Yeah.
to think about? Like
Yeah, totally.
Nullifier?
Yeah, and I fully admit nullifier is not an item I
Oh,
think about very often. And it's
okay.
my own. It's just one of those things where it's such a for me. It's such a late game. I need to disable their items thing
Hmm.
that I don't know. And I think it's probably something I should have in my repertoire to think about it earlier. But
Hmm.
I my mindset sort of goes, that's the sixth item of a six slot, right? And
Hmm.
it could be third or fourth item. It's just one of those things where I just don't think about it. It's part of my
Hmm.
ongoing, evolution as a player.
I mean, we can get both Abyssal and Echo Saber. It happens, okay? But
Yeah,
thing is, yeah, let's actually. I want you to speak it. Actually, yeah, I want to hear from you. Let's talk about again Abyssal versus Nullifier. Which does what and which is better? Do you want to just go on and,
yeah, sure.
yeah.
So I mean, nullifier. If I'm obviously the biggest concern about nullifier, not that it's really an issue in my bracket, is that it is a projectile, right? So someone
Hmm.
who, if they're good enough, can disjoin it. Um, which is a concern. Not that Zeus can, because and unless he goes blink dagger, he really can't. Um, but that's a consideration. I do have to be able to get on top of them after I use it. And obviously Abyssal's got the blink for the stun. Um, and it's possible if I use I'm thinking in this game, I'll say, so if I were to be Abyssal into Void, it's
Hmm.
possible if Pudge has his blink, he can then blink into using his ultimate, and we could possibly kill Void before
Hmm.
Void can get off his chrono or anything. So there's upsides and downsides to each of it.
Yeah. Good.
I definitely think that in this game, my concern at this point, even 20 minutes in, was that Void was going to be the end game raid boss, as it were. I didn't. Zeus was sort of falling off in my mind, and Void ends up being the the problem at the end of the game. Um, Zeus is always there doing damage and it hurts, but it's a matter of like he's just doing he's doing so much.
Hmm. Good job. Yeah, good job. Because we have to be you have to be keep doing that almost every game as you're watching the replay. Okay, so uh, having that survivability from yourself, I think that was our priority. Okay,
Mm,
it can be your playstyle. If you don't want to get a, if you really want to get an Abyssal Blade and play that aggressive, I think it's possible. It really happens. But here's what I would have played. Again, Scotty, right? After
mhm,
after BKB, after Shadow Blade, or after Silver Edge, BKB to survive myself, and then again to Scotty, just to have myself more beefier. And after that, I would actually have thought about getting a Abyssal Blade, right? I would think about it. But maybe I would just get a Basher and just leave it like that. Because if I get an Abyssal Blade, I just have to burst them down right away, right? I just
mhm,
have to burst them right away. And it is a something, right? It is something, but um, it's also very expensive. If I get a Basher and then upgrade to Abyssal Blade right away, that just means I'll be 5 slotted for the rest of the game, possibly, because that's how expensive Abyssal Blade is. Like I'll be just 5 slotted. But if
mhm,
I leave it as a Basher and then get a Nullifier right away, then because I have a Basher, I can appreciate the damage and I can appreciate the proc. But having the Nullifier just makes so sense. If you get a Silver Edge, then yeah, it allows us to go around them and find Zeus, right? And then I guarantee you, if you're invisible and you're throwing the Silver Edge, excuse the projectile of the Nullifier, he cannot disjoint it. It's so fast, he just can't. And what I just talked about earlier, if you use Nullifier, then number one, he cannot force staff, right? That's important to remember. He cannot force staff, and to break your pounce, he just can't. And their allies can help him, right? Their allies cannot use force staff. Their
mhm.
allies cannot use Glimmer Cape. Isn't that so big? Like if you think about it,
Oh, it's huge.
yeah. So
Um,
you're now a huge threat, not only to Zeus but also to Rubik. It's the same thing to Rubik. Rubik cannot run away from you. He just can't, right? He cannot use Force Staff. He cannot use Glimmer Cave. Like, he cannot use Ghost Scepter. How else is gonna stop him getting BKB?
Mhm.
No, he's not gonna get BKB. He cannot use Yield Scepter. So, if you get by getting a Nullifier, you're already like possessing a solo kill threat to two of them, like Zeus and Rubik. That, I think that
Mhm.
changes everything. We don't really have to worry about Void or Tenny or CK. My job would be focused on the soft support where I can just
Sure.
focus on it, right? So if that was my logic, then I think getting the Nullifier just makes so much sense. Like Bashir would do something, but Bashir and Abyssal would not be as competent as just making that kill happen, like completely happen. Nullifier guarantees it. I guarantee it. They're gonna die. They cannot do anything. 100% they're dead. But if you're talking about Abyssal Blade, then there's a chance that they may survive. So that's my thought. And
Yeah, that does make sense.
yeah, so try getting Nullifier sometime, and then yeah, because I want you to see it. I want you to see it yourself, and then yeah, let me know. Let me know if it worked or not. So
Hmm.
it's gonna take some time, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks. You're gonna play a lot of games, and yeah,
Mhm.
come back to me. I want to hear back from you.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah,
course, we're gonna be
that's
keep
totally
watching.
good.
Okay, we'll keep watching. If there's like specific point of game that where you wish me to watch it annually, I will do it. But everything that must be said, I'm gonna say is already said. We discussed a lot.
Yeah.
Like we talked a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. It's been. I
Yeah.
have a lot of notes written down.
So, was there like I'll ask you, was there like any specific point of game that you thought was worthy taking looking at and make a discussion?
I don't think so because I think at this point it was even, but
Mm.
eventually they just sort of started out pressuring us. I was looking at my item build and I think it kind of went off the rails at some point. And again, it's part about itemization and being confident in what I'm doing because I
Mm.
don't play enough of one role. But the order in this game was Silver Edge into BKB,
Hmm.
and then I felt pressured on the map, like we didn't have enough space to get things done.
Mm.
So I actually swapped out my phase for Boots of Travel, so I could be aggressive on the map.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I'm okay. Okay, yeah, keep going.
So that happened, and I got the Boots of Travel at 36, and then I got Basher at 40, and then that was when the game. I didn't get anything further after that.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I'm saying like when I feel like the team just wasn't making
Hmm.
space, so I wanted to make it for them, and that's why I ended up going Boots of Travel, so I could
Make
be
space for. Okay.
making pressure.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Must I jump to the conclusion and say it? I think never do it. Almost never sell
Mhm.
your Partraz or Facebook and get it's possible, but I don't think like any of them is like it's not we're dealing with something like Tinker or Nature's Prophet, right? We're not. It's not like we have to like react to it. Like I get it that you want to make a pressure and then your team benefits from it, but to be honest, at this stage of game, you win by just winning the team fight, right?
Mhm.
We win by winning the team fight. I get it that you guys benefit from having like map pressure, like you go there push, you go there push, and but first off, this is very expensive. Okay, this is not
Yeah,
something
sure.
that's
Yeah,
negligible.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
2400 gold, 2500
and
gold.
then you also sold your face boots. Imagine it was power
Mhm.
threads. I would be
Yeah,
furious if you sold your if you
yeah.
sold your
Well,
power threads. I would be
yeah.
very angry. I'd be like,
Well, that's
yo, Slack, what the fuck? I'll be like one of those guys, right?
yeah, yeah. No, and that
Um,
makes sense. Well, that was part of my thought process. Like, well, I'm not really getting a lot out of this movement speed from it, and I can just be almost as fast with Boots of Travel, and then I'm making
yeah,
pressure. But again, it says we're up, but I didn't feel like we were up.
yeah.
I felt like we were behind in this game the whole time.
And to be honest, Slock is a guy that already has a crazy amount of mobility, right? Whenever
Mm-hmm.
his shadow dance is there, he's like moving at haste. He has unpermanent haste. You can be anywhere, right? You can just move around that so fast. And if you're really worried about, uh, I think if that was your playstyle, I would imagine getting Blink Dagger makes sense too, right? If you get a Blink Dagger, then you get Blink Dagger plus Silver Edge plus you have the passive really fast movement speed. You can be anywhere in the map. Like it doesn't matter. And if you also another solution to that is getting an Aghanim Scepter, right? If you get an Aghanim Scepter, your pounce range becomes so long and you pounce so fast that you can be anywhere as long as we are moving the direction of move that we talked about earlier, and then
Hmm.
you know where to pounce. Like imagine you have a pounce here, right? then you can go from here to here right away, right? Just one
Sure.
pounce, and then we have two charges. You can go from here to here, from. We can go from here to here right away, pounce. Like anything can happen. So, but boost up
Yeah.
travel, I don't think this is happening. This is not
No,
doing it. No.
and looking back on it, I definitely like as soon as I saw it, I was like, why did
Mm,
I do that? And especially after what we've been talking about, I'm
mm,
going, it wasn't the play, but it just I don't know. I map pressure to me right now, in my understanding of the game, it's so
mm.
important. And given that I just
That
don't
pressure.
feel like my teammates do it,
Mm,
um, they don't want to cross the river. They're scared. So I was like, well, I'm confident enough to look at the minimap, hopefully be able to read the game and see where things are.
okay.
And so I'm willing to do that, but maybe it's just that I'm, playing the wrong heroes, which
Mm,
is again why I
no, I think you're right. I think you're on the right track. But all I'm saying here is you could have still done that. You know, the map pressure, even without getting this item. So
yeah,
just be more efficient in your movement. Okay, as long as you're being more efficient with our movement
mhm,
speed, and maybe getting an augment scepter like a value augment scepter, it makes sense. Like we gain more stats, and we can just appreciate having 2 pounds. It's survivability. We can also use it to initiate, right? So
sure,
also, if you get an augment scepter, like it kind of works as a nullifier or do achieve the same goal as a nullifier. You gain, you pounce on Zeus, and he has a force staff, right? Let's imagine he has a force staff. He uses force staff to run away, then we just pounce him again, right? Because we have 2 pounds with augment scepter, then
mhm,
he can't run away. If he's solo, he dies. If Rubik, he has force staff, he uses force staff to run away. We pounce him again right away, he dies. So Aghanim could be a thing if you really think it is like a mobility game. Like, do it. Like, there's also a game that I can Aghanim Scepter in my YouTube video as a Slark, so you can check that out.
mhm.
Yes, but okay. So again, like we talked about mindset thing. Like, if as we were watching the replay, if we see this, and now that we have that discussion, is this a possibly game losing
No,
decision?
and yeah, and then the answer is I think yes, this was the game
Yes.
losing decision more so than
Yes,
anything else.
yes. I think if you're doing that, I think you're doing fantastic because it really is affecting you. Like, if we are fully convinced that this was a bad decision, then you're doing something. You're not gonna be doing this over and again, over and over. And I'll tell you, the rest of the players, if they're not watching the replay, I mean, they'll make the same mistakes as we just did, like getting some dumb items or doing something dumb. Like an example is this draw ranger, right? She got a butterfly, and I 100% guarantee she's not watching this replay and then and then try to answer herself why this was the wrong itemization. I guarantee she's not doing it, but we are doing it, right? So she's gonna be in this bracket forever because she doesn't understand why this is the wrong answer. But because we did it, we're not gonna be doing it again, and you're getting better. You're becoming a better player. So that's like
Mhm.
my logic of coaching people. Like it's
Sure.
so important. So okay.
Okay. Well, I think we've covered a ton of stuff here.
Mm,
I've got a whole bunch of notes and things to think about and things to get better at. And I'm, play some games, see how I do. Maybe come back to you with
mm.
another loss I should have won and see where I'm at in maybe a week or two.
I just want to see your final itemization before we actually close this up.
Sure. It doesn't go too much further.
Oh, okay. So you got a basher. She only gonna abyss the
Mhm.
blade. So nullifier was never in your thoughts, but I guarantee after this session, you will find yourself considering getting a nullifier, right? And then to me, that's like that is a good sign. Like you just became a different player. It's something that you never thought of, and then you're thinking about getting nullifier based on your logic, right? If I get a nullifier, then their supports cannot kite me, right? And then
Mhm.
there's an angle that I can kill them. If that is going through your mind, like you're now a different player, man. You just become a different player. So
Sure.
I'll be really happy if you
Mhm.
if you can pull that off. Yeah, I guess
Mhm.
that's it, man. That's it.
It's been super helpful, dude. Thank you so much. Oh, now I get the cursor back. That's so weird. Why did it show up suddenly?
Okay, my Dota just crashed. Okay, anyways, I think that was it. Yeah, I think that was it.
Okay.